And I think to unpack, some of these issues, and to unpack also the role that the South African BRICS Think Tank Council has been playing within all of these important processes, it's really a privilege to invite Professor Sitas, who is the chairperson of the South Africa BRICS Think Tank Council, and he will give us the keynote address today. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a great privilege to be here amongst friends from the International Diplomatic Corps, friends from government, friends from civil society, business, labor, academia, the Fourth Estate, and I apologize if I leave anyone out, but it is a variegated audience, and I will try and speak as concisely as possible and try and communicate what we are trying to do. I hope you had a wonderful break, because we didn't. We took the relay stick on the 31st of December from China, and here we are starting a new process. So, as you know, as a think tank, we will be entrusted with the task of doing the chairship, the BRICS chairship. And 2018, as was mentioned, serves as a serious moment to take stock of achievements made collectively by the BRICS formation since its inception a decade ago. But most importantly, a unique moment for South Africa as a country last served such a privileged role in 2013, just as we entered BRICS. And perhaps the fact that it was a South African idea that we promulgated the New Development Bank, and also that we insisted on BRICS Plus, and so that BRICS Plus should be about African pathways and African pathways of development. Two critically important contributions. I think we should be proud that both are on the table now. But what are we going to be doing this year? As we speak, there is no government department that is not involved in some or other BRICS initiative. The joint activities within and between university systems have increased manifold. In the course of 2018, we alone would be facilitating at least 40 encounters. It's more than one a month. So first of all, as you know, we as a think tank are a Track 2 institution, working closely with the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, the Department of Higher Education, and through them with the Interministerial Committee on BRICS. We also work closely with our sister institutional formations, the BRICS Business Council, the Civil Society BRICS, and soon enough there will be a Labour Forum or Council as well. But most importantly, we work with the entire higher education system, the academics and research networks of the country. What I have to say today is a result of wide-ranging consultations. Furthermore, whatever we propose has to be discussed and mixed and percolated through the other think tanks in the BRICS domain. As you know, the BRICS Think Tank Council is made up of diverse national priorities and is governed by consensus-seeking processes. So what I'm presenting here, in other words, might be modified extremely in the next few months. So what I'm trying to tell my academic friends here is that, I'll put it to you and you can shoot me down if you want to, we're living through an epochal change similar to the period between 1400 to 1700, which saw the gradual ascendance of the West and the involution of the rest. If we stay with the 1500s, where China was undergoing an industrious revolution, then during the last century of its Ming period, of the 21 cities with more than 100,000 people, 15 were located east, and with Paris just beginning to catch up with Genoa and Venice in Europe. Most of the activity was over there. But what you have, the emergence of London, which was by that time actually, if you take the 1500s, was not bigger than Zimbabwe, the great Zimbabwe citadel. It was as big as that. But you see the emergence then of Europe and London and Paris and all those cities driving an economic and social revolution that redefined the world. And you see, relatedly, an involution. And I'm telling you, we are experiencing something similar at the moment. Now we can examine the period retrospectively and say who were the fixers, what was fixed for the Dutch to trump the Spanish, for the British to outfox the French and trump the Dutch, and how foraging could turn into settlement, into colonialism, and by the 19th century how Britain could rule the waves. But the important thing about what it did is that it restructured and reconfigured the world system and brought together material and symbolic value together. And it exercised its authority through both. Symbolic value, I mean culture, education, science, technology on the one hand, material production on the other. The system hasn't changed much since then. What happened after the Second World War is that the US, in competition with the Soviet Union, tried to revive the system. It is always tended to be unipolar. What the BRICS challenge is about a new reconfiguration now that we don't know where it's going. We don't know who the ultimate fixers would be, but we know it's moving. It's got unipolar and multipolar tendencies, and we need to put our thinking caps together for two reasons. Firstly, to achieve our real democratic breakthrough, we need to reconfigure it in our interests. We can't allow it to swallow us up. And secondly, we have to ask ourselves, can this reconfiguration create a structured opportunity for Africa to get out of the involution it started experiencing since the 1500s? Can it be able to do that? So, to achieve that, we will need to be working on all kinds of areas where there's a lot of discord in the world, about redefining what the commons is and what are appropriate forms for the exploitation of nature. What are the appropriate forms for this world system for the usage and exploitation of people? What are the appropriate cooperative mechanisms that can bring this world closer together? How can we manage these incredible flows of goods, information, and technology, and so on, of people that are happening around us? We have to do it cooperatively. So, to cut a long story short, we are trying to make our thinkers think. We're trying to get some concrete projects so we can achieve something and be able to say something at the end of 2018, and not concentrate on narratives of success. We are not about that as a think tank. Whatever is articulate, it will not be heard clearly in networks that have already cast BRICS as a negative and short-term phenomenon. The fact that our countries represent 40% of the world population, about over 20% of the world output in 2016, and we accounted for 50% of global growth since 2009, not South Africa, by the way. But as a think tank, our job is not to manufacture good news stories, but reflect on alternatives, on policy priorities, and the complexities of cooperation between such a diverse set of countries. The diversity is not a cliche, but it involves deep historical roots, regrettable and acceptable pasts, extreme climatic variations, varied material and spiritual priorities, but who are beginning to discover languages of cooperation. South Africa has been named as an insignificant player, be that as it may. We will be thinking of the pathways to an inclusive development. We'll be challenging the social responsiveness and responsibility of our economic actors. There is a lot to do, and to steal from the late poet Brawili Khositsile, it is always possible to do more and to do it better, always because the difference that a day might make celebrates the day that makes the difference. And perhaps Nelson Mandela, that it always seems impossible until it's done. Let's do it. Thank you.